following episode is a broadcast of Where Talent Meets Opportunity, moderated by Jay McElroy, owner of McElroy Enterprises. Jay is manager of the Business Service Center in Bowie, Maryland, and organizer of government agency Procurement, a program that teaches firms how to do business with the federal, state, and local government.
Welcome to Where Talent Meets Opportunity, a business show that provides our viewers with business strategies, tips, and information for starting, running, maintaining, and growing any small business. We have a great show planned for you today.
And welcome to Where Talent Meets Opportunity. I'm your show host, Jay McElroy, and I'm so glad you're joining us again. I am here today with Joanne Jackson. Now, this young lady, if you are a business owner, you are going to want to write her phone number down at the end of the show. She is with the Office of Central Services in Anne Arundel County. She works with MBEs, DBEs, and anyone else that is certified. If you want to know where the business is, she's the one who knows where the business is. If you're trying to win contracts, you're going to want to talk to Joanne. She knows how the money moves, when it moves, and she is someone who's been in the business in Anne Arundel County for several years. So I just want to say welcome, Joanne.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Oh, of course, once again, wonderful.
That's great.
And
That's great.
I like to say, it's been a pleasure knowing you. I think we've known one another for more than 10 years now.
Right.
And Joanne, you have been doing a phenomenal job in the Anne Arundel County area.
Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
Now, Joanne, on our show, one of the first things we do is talk about you. Now, I know some people can be a little uncomfortable talking about themselves, but we like to kind of get into your personal business, like what's your background? You don't have to go and say, I grew up here and I'm this old, or you don't have to get into that. You don't have to tell us if you have kids or anything like that. But just give us a brief background on who Joanne is.
Joanne Jackson is someone who's dedicated most of her life to public service.
Okay.
I graduated from Howard University back in 1971.
Wow.
I gave myself away
You gave
there.
it away.
And I went to the University of Pittsburgh. I have a degree in urban planning from the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public International Affairs.
Okay.
That was a real interesting experience in my life.
I'm sure it was. I graduated from there as well.
Did you? Oh,
I did.
okay. I didn't know
sure
that.
did.
I didn't know that.
Did engineering, computer science, and information systems.
GISPIA?
I'm sorry?
GISPIA?
No.
Oh, okay, in another division. And because I've been in the county so long, a lot of people think that's the only job I ever had. But I was an accountant.
Okay.
Which was my first profession, and I became an urban planner. I've been an economic development specialist,
Wow.
a community development planner, and I don't know if I should say this, but I was the first H Street CDC director.
No
back in the,
way.
Yes, I was. There's a
Wow.
lot of little secrets in there. We won't talk about that.
Okay.
And then I kind of lucked up on this job with Anne Arundel County. I wasn't really sure where Anne Arundel County in that time, because I had spent so much of my younger years in the District of Columbia. I was like, oh, let me go out here and see what that's about. So I've been with the county for about 30 years.
Oh, just 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years in counting.
Awesome.
And,
Congratulations.
It's been quite an interesting experience. When I first started, they were doing like $1.5 million a year with women and minority firms combined in total, and now we're up to about $45 million. So,
45?
yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and we don't have a law on the books per se. We do have to comply with state and federal regulations, but for the most part, when we utilize county funds, there's no law requiring the use of minority firms. Of course, we encourage the use of minority firms. So I think by being in that atmosphere all these years, I've kind of changed people's attitudes about doing and working with women and minority businesses, and I think that's the most that I can say that I've added to that atmosphere.
Okay.
Because we're using them more frequently, to the tune of about, like I said, $40-some odd million a year.
That is off the chart. I mean, that's off the chart.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, I mean, that is something to be proud of.
And that's working even down towards subcontractors. I met this woman about 2 years ago. She has a $14 million subcontract with Anne Arundel County. Anne Arundel County normally doesn't have that high volume of business. I mean, most of their utility projects are anywhere from 3 to 5, 8 maybe.
Right.
But there's a big project at Cox Creek water reclamation facility.
Okay.
And she was lucky enough. She came from Delaware. She got this contract. She's an electrical, mechanical construction company.
Wow.
And I met her through
That's unbelievable.
You'll be surprised how I meet people. I meet people who are intimately doing work for the county, but I don't always know them. I see their names on a piece of paper. I was at a women's organization, a luncheon, the Women Presidents Educational Organization run by Sandra Eberhardt. And a lady comes up to me and she taps me on the shoulder and she says, oh, you're Miss Jackson, and she tells me her name. She said, I've got like a $14 million contract with Anne Arundel County, and I like, really? And so we've kept a relationship going in terms of we meet for lunch. She tells me about the project, and a lot of the information I have about the county actually comes from outside people, outside vendors, people in other jurisdictions. They call and say, you know, a guy called me up 2 years after he got a project to say thank you.
Right, right.
You know how that goes.
Right. Yeah, they do the same thing with us. They do the same thing. But
Yeah, and it's the thought that counts. I don't care when you say it, just say it.
Just say it, right.
Yeah, and and I didn't know at the time that he had gotten a contract, so I was kind of glad to hear that. But that's the way it works.
Okay, so Joanne, let's talk about your job.
Okay.
And I know people don't know you're a hidden jewel. And I know you consistently send us solicitations that people can actually win. They're not, and I know we talk to a lot of business owners and they're like, oh, that's just going to be out there. They're just going to give it to the same people over and over again.
Right.
But you make sure that we have those that when things are being bid, people can actually win.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so let's talk about your job and what you actually do in Anne Arundel.
I do a number of things. But my basic role and responsibility is to help women and minority firms get access to information for contracting. When I first started, I looked for the small ticket items first. I mean, the construction items were out there, but the small procurements are what people normally don't see.
Right.
Because of rules and regulations, they don't have to actually be bidded out. They do have to get quotes.
I do want to talk about that because like I worked for an organization at one point, and as long as it was $999
And 99 cents.
99 cents, then they could give it to you. Let me just put it that way. But then if it were $1,000 up to $24,499.99, then they needed to bid it out to 3 people. And then anything over $25,000 had to be posted in eMaryland Marketplace.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure of the guidelines for Anne Arundel County, so could you share?
Well, they're almost similar because it's a law.
Okay.
And if you're using state funds, which all jurisdictions have, it's kind of like the same thing. Anything over $5,000 has to be posted in the public venue.
Okay.
Items under that, again, you could just get quotes, a buyer or an administrative person. You'd be surprised who has authority to buy stuff because we have procurement cards. Let's just say they're having a party, but it's an official celebration of something like for caregivers.
Right.
The Office of the Aging has these sessions with caregivers to thank them for all the work that they do. And somebody as simple as a secretary could organize it,
Right.
call a couple caterers, get quotes, and pay for them on a P card.
Wow.
So, do you know how many of those people reside within county?
Right.
it would almost be impossible for me as a one-woman operation to be able to know who all those people are. I try,
right.
but it's like a hit and a miss.
Right.
So you just, hopefully, the things that you can get your hands on, excuse me, and get access to is what you work on.
Okay.
And if it's real small, it's almost not worth the effort. But anything up to $10,000 now is considered under the realm of an informal bid,
Okay.
because the law has bumped up the small procurement on local government. See, the federal government is totally different.
Right.
And that's, I don't want to get off,
No,
digress.
don't get on them yet.
Yeah, don't digress, but
Right.
a lot of people, when they don't understand there's those three levels of government, and each one is different, and they get frustrated when they come to local government if they've not done enough of their research or had enough experience. So when I start explaining to them, they're like, well, I don't get this, because they want to think federal. But on the local level, the thresholds for buying are a lot different. Most local jurisdictions have the same threshold. They've upped the thresholds for formal bids to, I think it's like $50,000 and up.
Okay. Okay.
So anything that falls under that now, you don't have to. You don't have
to go through that
bid.
super formal.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
but you don't see it.
Okay.
You actually don't see it anywhere.
Actually,
other
you don't
than
see it, really?
If you don't, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Okay, wait. Let's
Yes,
go back.
uh,
Say this
I
again,
meant
because
to-
I want to make sure we get this straight, because you're
slipped.
going to have a whole ton of people standing in Anne
No, you
Arundel
know why
County
I
waiting to talk to
slipped?
you.
Because I get calls all the time from people who had not gone to the county's webpage, have not gone to eMaryland Market, even though they're getting eMaryland Marketplace
Right,
to
right.
see that procurement. So I'm sorry, I slipped on that. Anything over $25,000 by law
It has to be posted.
posted.
Right.
Okay. And we do a good job of getting
Those out.
items on the, but the business community sometimes often, I think they get swept up with looking at eMaryland Marketplace, and I'm not seeing anything for me, so later. And they forget that this is our mode of communication
Right.
with the public. So please, folks who are out there, utilize whatever vehicles you have to look for bids, and you can always go to the county's website.
Right. Now, Joanne, hold that thought,
Okay?
because we're at our halfway mark.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to be right back with Joanne Jackson. We are so excited. She's letting us in on some secrets, guys. So if you are a small business owner, and I'm going to tell you, if you know someone who's a small business owner, you're going to want to grab them while we're on this short break. We'll be right back.
We will be right back with our next guest on Where Talent Meets Opportunity, a business show that is dedicated to providing small businesses quality business strategies and resources pertaining to all aspects of small business services, support services, and training.
And welcome back to Where Talent Meets Opportunity. Once again, I'm your show host, Jay McElroy, and we are here with Joanne Jackson. This young lady has shared some secrets with us today, and I know that you're going to want to keep on hearing a little bit more. She is here talking to us about solicitations and just how they do business in Anne Arundel County. She works with the Minority Business Office, and she is looking to help businesses that have MBE status from MDOT, and I should say DBE as well. And she has woman-owned businesses that she's been focusing in on. And just in case you didn't hear, she has 30 years at this point with Anne Arundel County, and we are so happy to have her here with us. So Joanne, you were giving us a little insight into opportunities and how money is being spent. So I'll let you take it back and finish up and wrap up that little conversation, and then we'll move on.
Okay, well, I think for the most part, I would tell most business people, just give us a call. Everybody's so tied now to their mobile devices, and they want to do email and they want to do text, but you've got to get the right information from the right people, and you can get documents, but you don't have the historical background on how this procurement came out, why it reads the way it does. Some procurements now have a bond requirement, which
Right.
they didn't before, and people don't understand why that happens. Sometimes that happens because the buyer has seen vendors come in, win a bid, and then decide not to take the project. They have to start all over again. So they ask them sometimes, okay, put down a $500 bid bond that locks that individual who wins the bid into that contract and the consequences thereof
Right.
if he should not perform. There's a lot of interesting things getting ready to happen, not just, I don't know if people know this, but Annapolis is in Anne Arundel County.
Yes.
And I recently got an announcement that they're building a energy park, which energy/solar park, and they're putting out the vendor that won that award is looking for a variety of different things. They're looking for shuttle services. They're looking for porta pot suppliers. They're looking for fencing, traffic control services, even food trucks. So those type of vendors probably need to, if you want, you can call me and I can give you the information.
Yeah, we'll have your
to the-
contact information at
Right,
the end.
yes.
Okay, great.
So that's actually a City of Annapolis project, but I work with all jurisdictions in our region. All of my peers are in every jurisdiction.
Right.
Howard, Prince George's, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and who did I forget? DC. Montgomery, yeah, Montgomery County.
Montgomery.
So we all know one another.
Right.
So if you call one, they should know the other if you need references for another jurisdiction.
Okay. So I'm interested in how
Keep me
these-
on point. Keep me on
I would
point.
keep
Because
you on
because
point.
I digress.
It's okay. But I do want to talk a little bit more about solicitations in the county there in Anne Arundel, how that information is actually funneled through. Now, I know you said, I know it's a little tricky, Joanne. I know it's a little tricky, but the information does go out in some form or fashion. Some or most should make it to your desk, right? At some point. We do know, according to what you just said, email and marketplace, 25,000 and above.
Right.
We know for sure. But one of the things I think you just pointed out is that a lot of people, they don't pick up the phone. And so I think, now I'm coming from the old school as well. Please call me. I need to talk to you. That's what I need to do. And so if there are solicitations that could potentially be coming down, or if there's something that is like within days of hitting the market, would they just pick up the phone and call you?
I would prefer they call me
Okay.
because I always used to stay on the buyers. Buyers don't do this, buyers don't do that. But they are very busy. They are extremely busy, and so they can't always pick up the phone.
Right.
So email and voicemail has been their province.
Right.
But you still need to talk to somebody.
Right.
So you can always call me. And a lot of people don't really know that there's an MBE coordinator in Anne Arundel County. Most of the old school businesses, but a lot of new people don't. A lady called me today. She was surfing our website, and so she found me. But normally, a lot of people do not look for me.
Right.
And I don't understand why that is, especially if you're a minority business.
But
and
you're the gold mine for the county.
Yeah,
That most people don't know.
No, and they don't. They think it's a different jurisdiction, and perhaps we don't have someone in that office, but we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls from women business owners.
Right.
You know, because they don't know who to talk to. They don't know they can call economic development, or they just call this county's line, the main line, and we have a directory, and they can connect you to me that way.
Okay. Okay. So I'm looking for the secrets. We try to get
Okay.
the secrets out. we try to get the secrets out of
Well, let me-
everybody in here. So
Let me explain the process so that people really understand.
Okay.
You get the requisition from an agency.
Right.
A lot of times the buyers get a requisition, and the big thing now is the scope of service. The scope of work is not clear.
Okay.
Stuff goes back and forth, and so that consumes a lot of buyers' times. By the time it gets cleared and straightened out, it's got to go through a level of approvals. It hits the buyer's desk. He puts together the proposal. I don't often see it before because there's like hundreds of contracts.
Right. Exactly.
I catch them like the public does. I might wake up one day while I'm doing something else and go online, and I'll see XYZ.
Okay.
They come to me in whatever format, email. I get the construction projects from another division through email.
Okay.
But I'm hands-on. I mean, if I see a bid and I want to review it, I either go online or I go and look at the old bid to see if it's appropriate for somebody who's let's say snow removal, that's a
Right, right.
perfect example. We have snow removal bids out right now.
Yeah, I was
as
going to say
we're- as
snow
we're
removal
speaking.
should be going out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people, vendors don't realize that we started early. We put that back in July.
Okay.
And the close-off date is the 15th, which is next week. They can still submit their paperwork until December 29th.
Okay.
But December 29th. But the September cutoff date means that you're eligible to receive a performance retainer.
Oh, okay.
And that means it's like a reward for vendors who can get all their paperwork in on time.
On time.
And be in good standing.
Right, right.
With all your insurances, all your state requirements, your DAT numbers and all that stuff is finished. Then they issue you a performance retainer, which also says to you, when they call you, you have to perform.
Right, right.
Now,
Now, last year that would have been pretty slim.
Right.
Because did we do any snow removal last year? Last year, I think we had maybe 6
they
inches,
they process all these vendors.
Wow.
They process all the vendors. Now, maybe not all of them get the business.
Right, right.
But when the year we had that big
That really
snow,
big
so
storm,
everybody,
they were calling them.
guys were coming up from, and local people don't realize. Snow removal guys come from North Carolina. They come out of Pennsylvania. They come here because they either have contacts with somebody in some jurisdiction
Right.
that they know they need help.
Right.
Whereas sometimes our local, even though they figure they're small, every truck and plow is needed
I know that's right.
during a major snowstorm.
Right, right.
But a lot of times they don't know who to call. I've talked to guys in my jurisdiction. I say, "You doing snow removal this year?" "Oh, I don't know." "Well, you're hemming and hawing. Somebody else is going to get that business."
Right, right, right.
I don't get it.
Well, Joanne, I don't get it either. I actually talked to someone today. They said, "I'm just so busy. I'm so busy. I'm busy. I'm busy," and they were working on the electrical. Their master electrician, and I know you just sent us an electrical bid as well here. I think it was yesterday, and so basically, this person didn't understand that even though they're busy right now, they might not be busy in 3 months because we
Right.
know that construction goes up and down, but the actual bid opportunity that came out would be work that they could do when it gets slow.
Right.
And so sometimes I look at and listen to the businesses that we work with, and I just don't see the planning skills there. And so I can empathize with you when you're talking about how people respond to you. Because, I mean, if you have a truck, why aren't you using it?
Right. And I mean, I really sympathize with small businesses because they don't have the resources to hire the back office staff or somebody do the immediate proposals or go out and do the pricing for them. But if a company is going to grow, and this is a conversation for a whole nother topic.
Right.
You know, how do you convince them to partner? And that's a very tough.
Oh my God,
That's
Joanne.
a tough. I know we
Oh
don't
my
want to go
God.
there.
The partnering is definitely an issue. And I will say this, and I know you know that we have a new service called Procurement Corner.
Right.
And that's an area where businesses can say, I need help. I'm looking for a partner. And it is a phenomenal service for people to be able to go into, and you can work at it at whatever level you are. If you're,
Right.
We had a gentleman that had an opportunity to bid a $300 million source of sod. And he was able to get 12 additional people out of the service in order to be able to help them make it happen. Okay? And so sometime when we deal with these partnerships, people are afraid. But you have to step out. Things will happen, but great things will happen as well. And so with the services that we have, we're softening the way that you proceed in partnerships. So and we can have a whole nother show on that. I get really excited about the partnership piece.
Because nobody's doing what you're doing.
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
you know, most people are paying a lobbyist or they're paying somebody to create that partnership for them, and you've created a whole nother vehicle where for those who have the motivation and want to deal with partners
Right.
to go and get it.
Right. You're correct. You're 100%
Not take
correct.
them by the hand and say, here, I mean, that's what we do all the time.
Yeah, this is not one of those. I mean, you would be absolutely amazed at how easy it is to find the partner that you need. And you can look in the system and you can actually see what someone has actually done in the past. And many of the people that are in there, we do verify their backgrounds. So some of the verification that you might want to do, it would already have been done. And so I think it's just phenomenal. But we're not going to get off on that because we got about 2 minutes left, Joanne.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about anything you'd like in those 2 minutes.
Anything I like? Well, I would just say that another thing to talk to the business community about is that procurement is constantly changing. And they don't know that since we're on the inside and we see, I'll give you an example. Last year it was snow removal services. This year it's snow plowing services.
Wow.
That same project was handled by this buyer. This year it's another buyer.
Okay.
So there's a lot of changes and inconsistencies sometimes that the outside world doesn't know about the business world. And so they get confused, and maybe that's the reason for that happening.
Right.
But when you have somebody there consistently, like me or my counterparts, those are the person that you need to
talk
call.
to.
And if you have a question, or why is this like that, we can explain it to you as best that we know how.
Right.
So that's
big
my
tip.
words of advice is
Right.
that the only constant is change. We all hear it all the time. And things are speeding up constantly.
Right.
For instance, the way the county does its IT services has changed. They've done a mini CATS. In other words, they recently put out a request for proposal in 14 different categories. So instead of this procurement coming out each time, someone will have an open-ended contract with the county within one of those categories to do X, Y, Z. So unless it's for equipment, I don't see a lot of IT procurements bubbling up anymore.
Right.
They're going to just mellow out just like they do the A&E.
We're going to have you back, Joanne.
Okay.
We're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
All
joining
right.
us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes. And I tell you, Joanne has got to come back. You all know that she's provided a lot of information. We thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on Where Talent Meets Opportunity. We look forward to taking your business to the next level and increasing your business bottom line in days, not months or even years. Until our next show.
The following bids are available from the Anne Arundel County Purchasing Office.